this is Connie Moser, and I'd like to welcome you to another edition of Nights at the Round Table. My guest tonight is Mayor Earnie Porta. Ernie, thanks for joining us.
Hi, thanks for having me, Connie.
I imagine everybody in Prince William County knows you, but in case they don't, would you like to tell me just a little bit about yourself?
Sure, I'd be glad to. I am currently the mayor of the Town of Occoquan, and I'm in my 7th year as mayor. That's my 4th term. It's a 2-year term in Occoquan. And in addition to being mayor, I'm active, as you know, in a number of different service organizations in the county, some of which we participate on together. Amongst them are the Optimist Club of Occoquan, Woodbridge, and Neabsco, the Prince William Trails and Streams Coalition, the Prince William Historic Preservation Foundation, the Occoquan Historical Society, Historic Prince William, and a few other organizations as well.
Did I just see something in the paper about the suffragettes
Yes,
memorial, right?
Right. Thank you for mentioning that. I am actually the treasurer of the Turning Point Suffragist Memorial Association, and that's a great group that is actually attempting to raise $5 million to establish a memorial in Occoquan Regional Park in honor of the suffragists who were imprisoned in 1917 at what was then the Occoquan Workhouse, and they were imprisoned for protesting Woodrow Wilson's White House to try to get women the right to vote. And it was considered a turning point. Their imprisonment was considered a turning point in the movement, in part because they were subjected to harsh treatment when they were imprisoned in the workhouse. And the press got a hold of that, and then after the women were released, some of them went on a speaking tour around the country, and it really helped galvanize the movement and ultimately led to the passage of the 19th Amendment that gave women the right to vote.
Are there still descendants of those women in the area, or?
Yes, there are descendants of women both in the area and of course nationally and elsewhere. In fact, on our website for that particular organization, we actually have a page where we have some information about descendants, and we encourage descendants to contact us and tell us some of their stories. So it's a very active group. It's, the memorial itself is really what I would like to call price to move, because it's $5 million, and the land has already been donated by Occoquan Regional Park. The operations and maintenance of the site is covered in perpetuity by the Northern Virginia Regional Park Association. The architectural renderings have already been done and donated by the architect. And the project is structured in phases so that a certain amount of money can be raised, the more memorial can be started, and actually that component of the memorial will be able to stand alone itself as a very useful and educational structure and experience for individuals, a wide variety of ages. And then the memorial can gradually expand out as the additional money is raised. So it's really a fantastic project. I think it's one that really can help contribute to making the area around the Occoquan River in particular, but also eastern Prince William County and southern Fairfax County, yet another regional focus in our area that people can enjoy. And when you look at the strip in Fairfax down into southern Prince William County and then across Prince William County as well, I think you have some really great places you can see, and this will be a great addition to those.
Do you have a completion date in mind, or?
Well, we hope to have all the funds raised and work started on phase 1 in 2015. That's the plan. And the group has been very, very active in getting itself set up administratively and prepared to handle an influx of money, and we're actually going to be starting what we call essentially the quiet phase of a capital campaign. You've probably heard this phrase before, but it's the time frame in which you start getting some major donations and then you make a public announcement about the formal goal of the campaign, and that's really what we're starting on right now.
We are such a history-rich area. I still have great hopes for the Americans in Wartime Museum, and with the Marine Corps Museum and the museum at Belvoir and Washington, D.C., Occoquan in between, Lorton in between, all of those, you could spend a lot of time here.
Oh yeah, the Science Museum as well is going to be going in. I mean, all these things are really, really great things. They really, I think, help identify us as a regional destination for people. A regional destination that they can come to and enjoy in their own right by itself, and also a destination that is actually a nice side trip from other major destinations like Washington, D.C. I mean, Prince William County and Fairfax, southern Fairfax, I think, are great places for people to go, and we really are relatively well integrated. We've got some work to do on that, but we have some real opportunities to integrate and coordinate our efforts along those boundaries on the eastern side of the county and along the Potomac River to everybody's benefit.
Well, you pretty much invent your own if there isn't one, isn't that right? Didn't you just, did I understand you created a bus line?
Yes, thank you for mentioning that. Yeah, that's an excellent segue, Connie. I think that is, and certainly I hope will continue to be and will expand as a good example of a way that we can coordinate and integrate efforts across political boundaries. And if it's all right with you, I'll just tell you briefly
Absolutely.
sort of what the concept is. Basically what I did was I had learned from a friend of mine that some folks in southern Fairfax, involved with their Chamber of Commerce actually, were lamenting the fact that people go to the Lorton Auto Train station, and once they load their cars, and you can start loading at 11:30, they're basically stuck there until they have to board the train at 3 o'clock. And while it's a nice station, it only has a small snack bar, a small little gift shop, and you really can't walk anywhere to eat or see anything. And so some folks in southern Fairfax were saying it'd be really nice if we could capture those folks and take them out to Gunston Hall and these other places. And it immediately two things immediately struck me about it. The first was that, the place for those folks to come from that station would be the Arts Workhouse in Lorton and the Town of Occoquan, because those are the only real destinations near that station that they can go to, spend some quality time, and get back in time to leave at 3 o'clock for the train. It's too far to go to Gunston and other places in Fairfax. There are perhaps a few places in Fairfax that they could take folks to a restaurant or something like that, but it would be a single isolated restaurant or one or two restaurants in a mall. Whereas the Workhouse Arts Center obviously has enjoyable things for them to see and do. And the Town of Occoquan, if I can speak in my own self-interest, is a great place for people to go. It's got a really strong eclectic mix of retail, dining, and historic options, all crammed into basically a 6-square block historic area. So you can really cover a lot of ground in a short period of time. So I thought it was an ideal place for people to go. So what I did was I researched Amtrak statistics on their auto train station. They have some 260,000 people a year take that train, the auto train. And for those who don't know, it leaves from Lorton, Virginia, and goes down to Sanford, Florida. They've got one stop in the middle where they change crews and things like that. It's not a place you can get off and on. They can't go any further north because tunnels prevent the rail cars that store people's automobiles from being able to travel further north. So you have people from New York, New Jersey, and all these other places driving down to Lorton to load their cars on that auto train and then to ride it down to Sanford, Florida. It's one of their highest rated lines in terms of customer satisfaction. It's one of their most financially lucrative and viable lines. So I went and sat up there last June a few times just to make sure there were as many people as I thought would be there, because on average, they have 500 to 700 people in that station. So I went up there and sat through some days to make sure there were people there, and they do have low periods just like anyone else. In fact, the sort of a seasonal low is the March, April, May period. And I saw that there were the people up there, so I went and started speaking to the Amtrak station manager, who was very, very enthusiastic about the idea of a shuttle. Put me in touch with Amtrak corporate, and we went back and forth, and I decided to set up a small limited liability company to sort of test the concept out. And so what I first did was contract with some bus companies to actually run a shuttle, and basically we're running 4 trips out of the station. It was $5 for adults round trip. Children 12 and under are free. You leave your bags on the bus, bring them down, drop them off at the Tourist Information Center or the Workhouse Arts Center, and then pick them up at those same places. I have to run a few more trips back because you got to make sure you get everybody back, obviously, to get on the station, get on the train in time. So that all worked out fine. So what I've done is I've gone ahead and purchased a bus, and the purchasing of the bus makes a big difference because now it provides the flexibility to do it on different days based upon the number of folks who are at the station, based upon the weather. For example, you can imagine when it's pouring rain, people don't want to come. People don't want to take the bus to go someplace outside. But with a contract bus, of course, you buy them for 4 hours minimum or something. So you don't,
no matter what.
So So I tested the concept out. It's working fine. So I went ahead and purchased a bus and have all the insurance for it. And now we're waiting for some regulatory clearances from the state. And then we'll be expanding the service. Then in addition to running on Saturdays and Sundays, it's going to start running on selected weekdays as well. And we have some merchants in Occoquan that are advertising to support it. It's a very tight margin, as you can imagine. It's a very tight margin. Not looking to get rich on the thing, obviously, but I do obviously need to cover the costs, and I think it will benefit everyone. And so far, the response has been very enthusiastic.
I would think that if people come to visit the town for just a couple of hours, they would be inclined to come back and want to visit it quite a bit longer.
And that has been, everybody who has participated has had a really good experience. They've been, some of them actually, it's funny, some of them were so enthusiastic, they were noticed by some patrons in Madigan's Waterfront Restaurant, who then took a video of them and asked them about their experience, which they then sent me to put up on the website at some future date if I want to, where the people talked about how great it is to have the shuttle and how great the town is, and these were visitors from out of town. So, so I'm really looking forward to it. You know, we'll see over time how much expansion is feasible, but I'm excited about having the bus that actually can be very, very targeted.
So, when you say we bought the bus, who's...
I mean, the limited liability company, which is my money. So I just put, yeah, I mean...
wonder where the financing
right,
came
no,
from
I just
for
put, this is all personal funds. I set up the company, and I'm the sole investor in it. And so I just put my skin in the game, so to speak, to try to make it work.
Well,
so.
I have no doubt that it's going to be successful. It is kind of a big step, though, to take, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
not usually the thing you come home and tell your wife, I'm going to buy a bus.
No, actually, the bus, I turned out to get a great deal on the bus, so we'll see. Yes, but buying a bus is not the average request you make of your spouse. Yeah, yeah, a trip that she can go on is a normal request, or maybe, you know, maybe some furniture, but you don't normally come home and say, is it okay if I buy a bus?
Yeah. Although my husband did once come home with the stick shift, and I don't drive a stick, so not quite as big as a bus, but it was pretty big. So I want to talk to you a little bit about, because we are both, you are the president of the, I like to say OWN because Occoquan, Woodbridge, Neabsco is a tongue twister. So, and I am the vice president, and since we're doing this, we can plug it. Right, so I want you to tell us a little bit about the old-fashioned baseball game.
Yeah, this is really an exciting event, and we just picked up, as I was mentioning to you before the broadcast began, just picked up the tickets for these today. But what we're doing is a fundraiser for the Optimist Club. And for those of you who aren't familiar, Optimists are all about kids. So the idea is we have some programs. We have a great program, as you know, Connie, in one of our schools in Fannie Fitzgerald Elementary that is a volunteer lending library for kids, where they basically can keep the books if they want them and keep them permanently. And it's really a great program. We have some other great programs that are gearing up in other schools. But obviously we need to raise funds to be able to put on these programs. And we had a successful frigid February 5K run in Occoquan, as you remember, in February. Now this fundraiser is going to be much warmer weather. This is going to be, well, it better be warmer weather. This is going to be on Sunday, September 15th, starting at 11 o'clock, and this is a 4-team vintage baseball tournament at the Potomac National Stadium. And for those of you who don't know what vintage baseball is, it's baseball played according to 1860 rules. And there are these very extensive leagues that exist where people play this, and there's a Mid-Atlantic Vintage Baseball League, and if you go online, you can see their stuff. And they have a large number of teams, and they play different. There are different leagues, and they have different tournaments. The 1860 rules are odd in that there are no gloves. Periodically, you'll see, incidentally, demonstrations or exhibitions of this stuff around in the area. In fact, that's how I ran across these folks. There was an exhibition held at Rip Elm Lodge, I think it was 2, maybe 3 years ago now, by the Historic Preservation Division, and it was there that I actually first had the idea, boy, this would be a good fundraiser if we could do something like this with some group. So I made contact with the folks at that point. There are no gloves. There are 4 strikes. You're out if you catch the ball after it bounces. It's a completely different set of rules. Recognizable, but I shouldn't say completely different. It's recognizable, but significantly different, and a lot of fun. Of course, they wear these goofy-looking uniforms and things like that, but there are 3 teams have agreed to participate, 3 of the teams from the Mid-Atlantic Vintage Baseball League, the Old Dominions, the Chesapeakes, and the Potomac Baseball Club. And the 4th team is going to be made up of what they call, and by they I mean these vintage baseball leaguers, they call local muffins, which is people like me and others from Prince William County who are going to form a team, and we're going to be one of the teams. So there'll be 2 semifinal games, and then there will be a final game, and the winner will get the OWN Optimist Cup. or something to that effect. And so I think it'll be a lot of fun, particularly for kids. And we structured it so that kids would enjoy it. The tickets are $12 for adults, but children 12 and under are free. And you can buy them game day. You can buy them online at our website. And if you purchase before July 15th, the first 250 ticket purchasers before July 15th also get, for each adult ticket, they get one free ticket to the July 19th Potomac Nationals game against the Lynchburg Hillcats.
Oh,
so for the
that's
first
a
200,
deal.
yeah, for the first 250 ticket purchasers, in addition to coming to the tournament game, you get to go to a Potomac Nationals game as well.
Are refreshments that day, are they just traditional fare, or are they?
Yeah, actually the concession stand is going, the concessions are going to be open. And we are trying to arrange actually so that some other organizations, if they want, can come and set up booths and some other things. They might be able to offer some other things to folks as well. But it'll be very casual and enjoyable and a low-key family event, because it's almost like an open house. The tournament is scheduled to start at 11 o'clock, but obviously the games are going to go on for a while, and there'll be at least 3 games. So you'll be able to come walk in and out and enjoy yourself, spend a certain amount of time. If it gets too hot, you can go inside or you can leave and come back. It should be a lot of fun, I think,
I
for
think
kids.
so too.
Yeah,
I
I'm
think we're
looking
going to be
forward to
huge. How many tickets do we have to sell?
it. We want to sell 1,000 tickets.
We can do that.
So I think we can do
We
that
can do
too.
that.
I think we can do
Because
that.
there's at least 800 people going to watch this, and they're all going to buy one.
Right,
So,
and they all each have at least one friend.
yeah.
So, yeah.
So we're good. Okay. Well, I do want to touch briefly on. I don't want to get too personal, but I know you are a very physical person. You do rock climbing, and you do. What do you call the upright when you stand on?
Stand-up paddleboard. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Mhm. I know you do a lot of them in your second-degree black belt.
Yeah, secondary black belt in Hapkido.
Is there anything that you are wanting to try that you haven't done yet? What's on your to-do list?
Well, let me tell you, it's not so much a personal to-do list about a particular sport or activity, but it is something that sort of combines a number of them. You know, we have some great outdoor type stores in Occoquan. In particular, I'm just going to give a shout out to one. I don't have any financial interest in them, but Patriot Scuba, for example, is a great scuba shop in Occoquan. And actually, one of the nonprofits I'm on is the board of it is that I'm the treasurer of a foundation they've set up called Patriots for Disabled Divers, which receives grant funds to actually help disabled divers not just learn, not just get certified, but then actually provides the support for them to subsequently go on scuba trips in different locations. Because a lot of dive shops actually will help get disabled folks certified, but then they're sort of left on their own, and they're now certified, but to travel someplace, it's important to have people who are actually skilled and certified to assist disabled divers when they actually go diving. So that's one of the things that we're working on there. I'm doing some underwater archaeology program stuff with several other members of the scuba club there. We're actually trying to get established a public volunteer archaeology program that we're working on, and we're in part using the skills we're developing in underwater archaeology as a way of sort of kickstarting that. But Patriot Scuba is sort of the outdoor store in Occoquan. What I'd really like to see in Occoquan, and I'm hoping to put together sometime over the next year, is some sort of formal outdoor store in Occoquan where people can come and rent canoes, kayaks, stand-up paddle boards, bicycles, rock climbing gear. We actually have, believe it or not, we actually have some cliffs around the town of Occoquan on either side of the river that, with some help from property owners and a little cleaning up, would actually be decent, modest rock climbing sites.
I'm pretty sure if you ask any of the frigid 5K runners, they'd tell you that there's already some pretty good hills.
They're pretty good hills, that's true, that's true.
Yeah.
So I really would like to see something like that in the Occoquan area, because that river, quite frankly, is one of the county's real comparative advantages. Certainly for the town of Occoquan, it's one of our underutilized comparative advantages and relatively unique features. We have a waterfront there that is pre-existing, has been existing since the middle of the 18th century, and we really don't utilize it as much as I think we could for people's enjoyment.
Do you just not have enough population to warrant like an REI or Orvis or something like
Well,
that?
the thing, REI is a great, I mean, it's great that REI is in the county, and in fact, I purchase a lot of stuff at REI, and you know, they're the place to go for climbing stuff in particular. So you know, I will confess that when it comes to biking and scuba stuff, I obviously try to patronize some of the smaller stores in our area. Village Skis and Bikes, for example, for biking, and of course Patriot Scuba for scuba gear. But the REI is located in a good location in a good location, I think. What I'm looking at with this is not so much a place that will be sustainable and financially viable by virtue of the equipment it sells, although it will sell modest amounts of that, particularly replacement things, but rather rental of things so that people can actually get out and enjoy themselves in the Occoquan and Prince William County area. Particularly, I would love to see, and we do see more, as I think you know, I actually give historic tours of the town by water, by kayak and stand-up paddleboard on the 2nd and 4th Saturdays of the month during the spring, summer, and fall. And I see more and more people out there on kayaks and stand-up paddleboards. I would love to see that river have a lot of people out there on kayaks, stand-up paddleboards. I would love to see some folks on bikes, not just on the roadways, but on some of our mountain biking trails. And I would like to see people doing some rock climbing in our area as well. There's another sport actually that's less known, but actually is really good for kids that I'd like to see developed here too, and that is tree climbing, organized tree climbing.
Never heard of it.
And this is, yeah, it's not like the tree climbing that you and I did
Yeah,
when we were
I'm sure
kids.
it's not.
But it is the sort of thing that was developed by professional tree climbers, people who were up there for professional reasons, and then also some rock climbers who converted some rock climbing equipment. And the idea is that this is generally much safer for kids. You set up these sort of rope sections on trees and things, on suitable trees, and it's a really great outdoor thing for kids to do periodically, particularly kids, frankly, who maybe didn't grow up in an environment like you and I did, where it's quite easy to find trees to climb, and this gets them outdoors. And we actually have some really beautiful locations around Occoquan that I think would be quite suitable for that. So I wouldn't mind seeing something like that go up as well.
If it has a finale out over the water, that would be just the bomb.
Yeah, I actually have some kids who I've spoken to about this, and what they would like me to do is they want me to build these big outdoor rock climbing walls along the river that look real, so that they can climb and jump in the river. You know, kids 10 and under have a whole lot of ideas about what you should do.
It is a line, though. You want people to come to Occoquan, and you want them to enjoy the amenities and shop at the stores and eat in the restaurants, but it's a small town, and the roads are tiny and narrow, and there's not a lot of parking.
Well, the parking issue is something that people often mention. And I typically have two responses to that. Except on our busiest weekend days, you can almost always find a parking spot. Most of the open parking spots are in the big lot underneath the bridge and a smaller lot next to it, though. It is difficult to find street parking right next to the store. But even if you walk the full length, have to walk the full length of the historic district, which is roughly 4 blocks from the parking lot all the way to the other end, it's still shorter than you would walk most of the time in a mall. It's not as short as if you go to some place like Stonebridge and are able to park right in front of the store that you like. It's not that short. But it's never more than a couple small town blocks away. Now, the other thing that we have looked at in the town at locations where we might try to build some sort of parking garage, but it's really difficult because you need a certain amount of space, and you need to find a property, frankly, that's affordable to do that. So we've looked at a number and done some feasibility studies. To be candid, I don't think that's going to happen in the near future. But what we might do over time, if the demand warrants it, is maybe run shuttles from the commuter lot up there, because you know the commuter lot at the corner of Route 123 and Old Bridge, it's a nice little walk down into town from there. It's not as fun back up the hill for some people. But over time, if demand warrants it, we might try to run a little
That's what you do during the craft show, right?
Right, we run those from several commuter lots, yeah.
And you just completed this year's craft show.
Yeah, we just had our spring craft show, yeah.
Because all over Facebook, everybody says, watch out, they're all going to Occoquan today, it's the craft show.
Yes.
Well, I don't want to keep you with me all day, but I do want to ask you a question. Where do you, as much as you've done in the years that you've been the mayor of Occoquan, and as many things as you're involved in, what do you see for yourself in 5 years or so? Will you continue to be the mayor of Occoquan, or do you have some higher aspirations?
Well, so this is a question you didn't tell me you were going to ask.
That's right,
Very
Earnie.
very sly. Obviously it's up to the voters in part whether or not I'm going to be the mayor of Occoquan in the future, but I do hope that they're reasonably satisfied. We don't, I don't always get everything right, but I do work hard to try to get things done in the fashion that I think they would like to see. I do have some personal things on my plate, as I think you know. I'm actually a PhD student at Georgetown University in history. I work on Islamic Spain and Northwest Africa, and I'm at the dissertation stage now, which means I'm supposed to be researching and writing that dissertation right now. I'm done with all the coursework and my comprehensive exams and all of that. So I hope to finish that over the next year, and so that's one of the things that I want to accomplish. In terms of political ambitions, if that's what you're asking me about in part, which I suspect it is.
Let me just say it this way. I think most of the people that know you feel that you've done such a wonderful job in Occoquan that we would like to see you step forward and do something bigger.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you telling me that, and I would be lying if I didn't tell you that I have considered that and am considering that. It is something that, these things sort of move in cycles, and a lot of things have to fall in place for it to work properly for you as an individual and for your family and for the community. I think it's fair to say that I am thinking about those sort of things, and encouragement from people like you is obviously always very much appreciated.
Well, we definitely want to encourage you,
Okay,
because
well, thank you.
You have the creativity, and you have what I personally love about you is you get an idea and then you just go do it. Here it is, let's go do it, and that's what makes the world go round.
This is one of the things, as you know, that I like about you as well, very much. So, and we've had some of those conversations obliquely over the years, and I've told you one of the things I always appreciate about you is that when you sense I'm frustrated about something, you never get mad at me because you know exactly where I'm coming from.
Absolutely.
And I can look at you, and it's like looking in the mirror sometimes. So,
Well, thanks.
So thank you.
Well, I want to thank you very much for joining us tonight. I had a really good time.
So did I. Thank you.
And thank you, viewers, for joining us. We'll see you again next week, and our guest will be Jeremy McPike. He's a candidate for the 31st District. See you next time.